Good morning. My name is Katie Yergensen. I'm the Media Relations Manager for Montrose County. It has been quite a while since I've been up here, so it's kind of nice to see everybody's happy, smiling faces. We're really glad to be here. As Kathy's announcement had stated, we were actually set to be on forum last year, probably a couple weeks after the start of the pandemic. So it is good to finally be back. We've got a kind of mishmash program for you today. We're doing the top 10 county highlights. And then our Fairgrounds and Event Center Director, Emily Sanchez, will be presenting on some really cool updates. She's had a lot of big events at the Fairgrounds. So with that, let's see. Well, Commissioner Hansen's going to start, so I suppose she needs no introduction. Commissioner Hansen, she's the chair of the Montrose Board of County Commissioners. She's going to start off with the first few slides, and then I'm going to kick it off. Do you want me to finish? Okay.
So good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Yep. So it's really great to be here, and I thought I'd just do a sort of a quick recap of sort of what's been going on before Katie and the rock stars get into the program. But as you know, we've been involved in this pandemic thing. So I started looking back and thinking about everything that's been going on. So for the last 18 months. So all of 20 and then half of 21, the county has been involved, the public health has been involved in either a pandemic response or vaccinations. And you know what's so weird? Katie and I were talking yesterday, it's almost like, well, first of all, when I was involved in it, because Katie and I spent the nights at the office most of the time, and we were there all the time. She was my partner in crime. But I felt like it was like dog years. Like every COVID day was a dog year. Will this day ever end? There was so much to deal with. It was 18 months of sort of how do we deal with this? We had over 200 public health orders from the governor and the state to sort of figure out and deal with and interpret, and they were confusing. But it was a full year of connecting with partners, making sure our community had what they needed, making sure that people that needed resources could get resources. It was really quite an endeavor, and part of that was that we had such a great team. I mean, I want you to know that the county never skipped a beat. We had everybody was outfitted with computers. Everybody went remote immediately. As we went through that whole year, roads still got paved, culverts still got fixed. Human services still provided services and checks to people that needed it. Every department, IT still worked. Everybody was still working no matter what. Some of the other organizations were the same. But we never skipped a beat, and so I think it's important for you to realize that, we're here for the future. We don't know what the future is going to bring. But what you need to know is that Montrose Public Health is ready for whatever happens. We've already been through it. This is like a huge practice year and a half. And I'm really glad it's over. And we were talking yesterday about, it was a year and a half of dealing with this. And now it's like, did you ever think in your lifetime you would just wipe out a whole year of your life and then look back? Does anybody think didn't seem like a year, did it? Isn't that the weirdest thing? But through the whole thing, it was like every day, one more public health order. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? So the county and governments are not normally used to pivoting and making spot decisions, but Montrose County rose to the occasion. And so I'm really proud that we were able to do that, proud that we were able to connect with our partners, some of you today, the city, the fire district, the hospital. We were on calls constantly, Eva Beach with Region 10, making sure that people that needed help could get help. I think that's important for you to know, that we haven't been through a pandemic before. We had 2 rock stars that really helped us out, and in the beginning, and many of you have heard about this, but Dr. Adragna was huge in terms of directing the county, because obviously we have not been in a pandemic before. But he came in, he helped us, he assisted us, and Katie then took over with the vaccine clinic. I think you need to give her a round of applause. Most of you here are probably through that. It never just takes one person, it's always a team. But Katie led that team, and so that was really great for her to bring everybody together to make sure that the effort actually did work. And we have been kind of a step ahead of the state through every single action we took. Now they're pushing all the vaccines out to other providers. We did that months ago, right? So there's all sorts of things that the county was thinking ahead on, and so I want you to just to recognize that the people that we have on our team, and the whole team, they're all kind of here hanging in the corner, they came together because what they are is they are public servants. All of us are public servants, and we're here for you. So, so with that, I wanted to just say that throughout the whole thing, you're going to be amazed at what we've accomplished, despite the fact that we basically took a year and a half. Everybody took a year and a half off. They've hit the ground running. We are doing all sorts of things with the county. I know you're going to have some questions, but I'm going to start off with a couple of things that are probably, you want to push my button?
Push your button.
This has been, if one more person comes up and says to me, if the county mucks this up, I'm going to quit. No, I can't really quit. So Co-Fire, obviously we can't give you a lot of details because there are no details. Co-Fire has approached the MEDC about coming to Montrose. They're excited. For those of you who don't know, this is a firefighting unit over on Fort Morgan. They're really excited to be in Montrose, but right now, and they want to be on airport or at the airport. They're considering buying one of the buildings out there, but the building hasn't sold, so we have no idea what's going to happen, right? So until that happens, the county can't really respond, although we've already put in place a plan where we can make this work. So I just want you to know that it's not our intention to muck it up. We are just as excited as everybody else to have this kind of a company come to Montrose. But please know that the airport has some very specific things that can and can't do, and we're not going to put the county at risk with any of those things that we can't do. So we want to make sure that we're going to do this right, that it's sustainable, and that's a good decision. So that's Co-Fire, and you probably saw, did anybody get to go out to the airport and see them? Okay. They're a very impressive group of young people. They're really excited to be here. The next thing that you need to know, and you probably already know this, is that we had a change in management. John Washbush is our current interim county manager, and just want you to have a little bit of a backstory to that. The county, you're going to hear about it in a minute, the county is about to embark on a number of capital projects. Those capital projects, as you know, when you have construction happening, you need somebody with boots on the ground. You need someone that has the experience that can hold the contractors accountable. That person is Ken Norris. So we asked Ken, and he agreed to step down. He was already the facilities director anyway, and we added construction management to that position. John Washbush is the interim county manager. He is the only finalist, but he has not been named as the county manager as of yet. That's the status update on that. That should be done probably by the end of the month. So those are my two big slides. We will have to undergo negotiations. There are two positions with the county that are contract. One is the county attorney and one is the county manager. Those are the only two that are under contract. So when you read in the paper that there were some payouts and all that sort of stuff, that's because the previous Board of County Commissioners made a contract with those that bound us to that decision. That was not a decision that this Board of County Commissioners made. So just so you have the backstory to that, we'll take questions after it, but in the meantime, I'm going to turn it over to Katie and Emily and the rest to share the big story of the county. So the more exciting stuff. Here you go.
Thank you. Hey, I don't know if you guys can read this in the back. Actually, this font looks a little small. But I think it's important to note there actually is a statutory process in place for hiring a new county manager. So the county, as a statutory arm of the state, has to follow that process. And so we're currently working through that. As you all know, government, we're not exactly nimble. It's a long process. Okay, so we're nimble. Nimble. We're nimble in a pandemic. I added this last night because I was getting text messages at like 7 o'clock from our road and bridge superintendent who was still out there working with crews on Chavano Valley. So last week you guys probably saw some of this. Wanted to give a shout out to our road and bridge crews. They are phenomenal. There was flash flooding in the Chavano Coal Creek area. 100-year event, guys. There are some floodplain areas, and it does happen here in Montrose. This is actually, I've been at the county 8 years, and this is the third time that I can think of flooding across the county. Zilla Mae probably knows through all the historical stuff. It exists, right? So our crews were phenomenal. They were amazing, and it really does kind of take truly a community effort. Our crews were out there working sometimes 19 hours a day. They're still out there. They're working to repair and fix the roads, to improve drainage, They're probably going to be out there for the next couple of weeks just trying to make the road safe again. But one thing I thought that was really noteworthy and impressive is that there were 2 roads that were significantly impacted, and they had those roads open within 24 hours and accessible to the public. So kudos to the crew for really doing an amazing job. We actually had Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management reps out over the weekend. So again, part of the county's role, and Sue talked about it with the pandemic, is trying to find these resources. So some people had flood insurance. There is potential that there may be funds available through the state or through the feds, so that's why we integrate with DHSEM. Shout out to Montrose Fire too. They were there assisting. We had a gentleman who had some medical issues, and they were there ready to assist and traverse the high waters. So our road and bridge crew is amazing. Sue had mentioned that they worked throughout the pandemic paving roads. You know, like everybody else, they kind of had that couple weeks where, you know, we really weren't sure what was going on, but they made up for it more than. So they finished all of their paving schedules and everything is back on track right now. Talk about the airport. So I know we keep relating everything back to the pandemic, and it truly is because like the airport was definitely negatively impacted by the pandemic. I was actually just looking at some of our enplanement and deplanement numbers, and there was a singular month where we had 908 enplanements. That's really low, but obviously, I mean, we needed to be safe. So we have since recovered, more than recovered. In April of this year, we set a new record of over 10,000 enplanements. So keep in mind, there's enplanements and deplanements. Enplanement is getting on the plane, deplanement is getting off the plane. If you want the total, you can combine the two. Those numbers do fluctuate depending upon, you know, what everyone's destination is, multi-destination tickets or whatever else. So that nearly doubles our previous amount. If that does not show you that there is confidence right now, I'm not quite sure what else would. We've continued that trend. We don't have numbers, we have in May. I don't have June numbers yet. We'll finish those up probably in the next week or two. But we are continuing to set records at the airport. Now, you guys probably do remember our airport, it's a little small. Kind of have, there's not a lot of elbow room. So that month when there was 908 people, totally fine. When we've got 10,000 people in enplanements, things are, you're getting really comfortable with your neighbors. It's a good thing people are still wearing masks out there. However, we do have some big capital plans in place. I'm going to talk a little bit about those in the next slide, but we will actually have our aviation director, Lloyd Arnold. He will be present in September, which we have Tribute to Aviation coming back. So for those of you that perhaps missed it last year, Tribute to Aviation is the county's signature event. It's a static display of aircraft. Can I announce that? Is that official? Okay, we have a B-52 coming back. We're really excited. Maybe. Okay, keep your fingers crossed for us. But we've got a pretty impressive lineup. We've got a lot of aircraft. They come from all across the country. So we are hopeful. These things change just like the pandemic all the time. Military funding comes and goes. They have missions, whatever else. So we are very hopeful that they will come back. But Lloyd will be presenting in regard to the tribute, and then he'll be talking about some capital projects. So one thing that actually was just approved recently by the Board of County Commissioners is the parking at the airport is it's a struggle, right? So it's known that we miss revenue. We oftentimes have people parking in our gravel parking lots because the current parking lot in front of the airport isn't large enough to accommodate all of the passengers. So the board recently approved budget funds to extend that parking. So the parking's going to move, it'll continue where it is, move north of the airport. I should have brought the schematic. I might be able to pull that up. But we're really excited to have that parking. Of course, it's added revenue. I think it adds a little bit more of a professional look to the airport. And that will definitely fall in line with our airport terminal expansion. So yesterday, and Ken probably has all of the details that can't be shared yet, we had an RFP opening for the terminal expansion, so we are very excited about that. Our airport needs to grow. It has been probably top 2 regional airports in the state for many years. And it is just continuing to increase with our service. We now have Southwest. If anyone has flown Southwest out of Montrose, it's a great airline. We're looking forward to expanding that service. We now have Denver flights that are very affordable, daily Denver flights that are very affordable through a lot of different carriers. Airport hotel is still in negotiations, so unfortunately I can't really divulge a lot of details, We are looking at building a hotel, so we went out for RFP fall of 2020, I believe, and so we are in negotiations right now, and hopefully by that September timeframe, when Lloyd comes back, he'll have some better details for you all. I wanted to bring capital projects about though, because last time I could have been the last forum that we were at the historic courthouse. Maybe there was one in between then. Again, like Sue said, dog years. Everything is kind of fuzzy in the past, but we talked about the courthouse. If those of you that attended, you met in the old county courthouse, and we talked about what our plans were for that building, and then a pandemic hit, and then lumber prices are over 400% and continuing to fluctuate. We're in a position where it's hard for us to get quotes even for some of these projects because materials costs are just so unstable right now. So we've pushed off a lot of our capital projects right now. We want to make an informed decisions with taxpayer dollars, make the best decision we can for county staff, and for the good of the community ultimately. But I wanted to kind of mention these and bring these back. So we have the historic courthouse, we've talked about that. That project is tied into the administration building, the future of South Campus, of course, which is our human services and our public health. So public health recently just moved to the west wing of South Campus, but those are all interrelated along with a county campus. So I want to let you know that we haven't forgotten about these projects. We're working on these projects. We don't have great details to share with you. Again, this is mostly related to materials. I mean, everything is very unstable right now, and it's going to fall in line with, we're going to look at building permits too. I mean, $1 million question, who thinks they've gone up? Right. I think that's pretty obvious. But wanted to mention those. We are really excited to have Ken leading these capital projects. He has the knowledge and the expertise and is definitely the right man for the job. Okay. Oh, we're going to go into funding and then we're going to building permits, I think. All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about pandemic funding. I think that that's important to note. So as you can imagine, and you probably saw, the county received money through the federal government, through the CARES Act, through coronavirus relief, and then right now through America's, somebody help me with this. Recovery Act, thank you. They all have, there's so many names. America's Rescue Plan. Yeah. America's Rescue Plan, see? Okay, so we are going to be receiving funding for that in the coming months. But I wanted to highlight a few things, a few ways that the money was spent. So $500,000 was transferred over to Region 10, specific for small business grants for businesses that had been impacted throughout the pandemic. This was distributed in 2 different waves, and so it helped a lot of different businesses, and all of those dollars right now have been awarded. $400,000, in fact over $400,000, was given to Montrose School District to assist them with their remote learning. So that was specifically for technology purposes, to purchase iPads for their students. $325,000 was given to the hospital, and that was in support of community testing, and they were also pretty integral in our vaccine efforts as well. They assisted with a lot of the storage and some of the draw efforts. $100,000 was given to River Valley Family Healthcare, and that was specific to just overall COVID efforts, specific mostly to testing. $15,000 to Black Canyon Boys and Girls Club. So as you can imagine, Black Canyon Boys and Girls Club really was much more but much more integral moving forward, because parents, working parents, were having to navigate and having to deal with a blended schedule for their students. And so, Black Canyon Boys and Girls Club needed additional funding to be able to provide staff members to accommodate and to kind of help out. And then lastly, Maslow Academy received $10,000 to help with childcare assistance. Again, another really important part for helping out our working parents, because even though you may be working at home, it's really hard, and I'm saying this from personal experience, to be a mom at home and to try and work too. So, we need to have those systems in place to be able to allow our working professionals do their jobs, whether it be in the office or at home. We are skipping around a little. Okay. So we're going to talk about vaccinations for a minute. Obviously, I'm kind of biased. I think we did a pretty good job on vaccinations. Tad's got his lovely photo here. You can thank me later for that one. So the first public clinic we held for vaccinations was in January the 7th, and we did 80 shots on that day. It's kind of amazing looking back and thinking about, essentially you're rolling the dice and trying to pick, who had signed up. Who were the people, the lucky 80 people that signed up first? And here we are months later, and as Sue had mentioned, the state is in a position where they are rolling back their state clinics. They're no longer existent here, and we did that in the end of April. Very different situation. We're very thankful to have worked with our partners. That a lot of our partners here have assisted us with the vaccine efforts. So our pharmacies, a couple of our primary care providers, but if there is no reason in Montrose County, if you wanted a vaccine, that you could not find one. Our goal is and always will be is ultimately to make the vaccine as easy and as accessible as possible to people. When the state started this process, they had said, well, we're not convincing people. We're still learning things. We're still trying to figure this out. Just make it accessible. Do whatever you can. And so we were, utilizing translators. We were integrating with health equity groups. We were, making a lot of phone calls. Erica and I went out yesterday to Mesa County to meet with 211. So if any of you called the public health hotline, you may have been rolled to 211. And they are a group out of Hilltop in Mesa County, and it's actually designed to do this to help with emergency phone calls. They're kind of more or less a phone bank. So there's 5 people out there, and for at least 2, maybe 3 months, Montrose County across the state, for all the different 211 centers, we were the highest call volume. That's a lot of phone calls, and that tells me in my non-pandemic job that people gravitate toward that. Our county wants to be on the phone. Our county is much more comfortable on the phone as opposed to utilizing some of the computer elements. So signing up online may be a little bit more challenging, and we knew we had to provide that. So we, as a group, provided over 20,000 vaccinations during our couple months of operation. I am really, truly proud of this team and proud of the effort. I don't know if we have time at the end, I'm going to make you go back and we're going to watch the video because I think Erica did a really good job. But it really does highlight and showcase truly all of our community effort. Property tax exemptions. So I wanted to bring this up today because it is, deadlines are coming up. The deadline actually for disabled veterans are tomorrow. I don't know if you were aware, but if you are a senior residing in your home and in your primary residence, you can have a portion of your property tax exempted. It's a program through the state of Colorado. If you are interested, I do have flyers up here with that information. Brad Hughes, our county assessor, could not be here today, but I wanted to mention this on his behalf. Oh, okay, now building permits. Okay, no surprise, building permits are exploding. Absolutely exploding within the county. So again, keep in mind, these permits are related to building within the unincorporated county areas. We're seeing huge increases in, so SFR is single family residence. It's up 109% from last year. And so these are all year-to-date numbers, so pulled through May. But there has been a total, I'm not trying to read, but total of 73 permits to date this year as opposed to 35 in the same time frame last year. So that is a lot. Permits are up just in general about 74% from previous years. And so keep in mind, permits may be for like, I want to add an awning onto the back of my deck, I want to add a bonus room, I want to remodel a bathroom, things of that nature. Single family valuation is up quite a bit too. So our total valuation, which does fall in line with the sheer number of houses, is up 140%. And overall valuation is up. And it's quite a bit. So it's up 128%. So valuation is about a little over 20 million. And in the past, last year, about that same time was roughly 9 million. So that is a lot. Our planning and development department, has been incredibly busy processing applications. We're seeing a lot of minor subdivisions. And so those are three home subdivisions. We are seeing quite a few of those, and we've also been approached by and are working with a lot of developers on some larger developments right now that just haven't come before the board yet. And I want to mention the Rimrocker Trail. So last year, during the pandemic, when we can't get together, we can't do the things, everybody goes outside. Public lands saw increases of over 200% of visitors accessing public lands. The Rimrocker Trail, for those of you that are not aware, is a 160-mile trail that connects Montrose and Moab. It's kind of like it's our fun thing. It's one thing that we really like to do. Sue always says that the county's kind of doing the boring stuff sometimes. We're doing the infrastructure, like we're holding up things, and then we get to like entertain the rim rocker. So one exciting thing that we're working on, and we hope it comes to fruition, we're working on a licensing agreement with a distillery, actually for the rim rocker trail. It's a crazy story, and I can't divulge too many details yet, but our logo is trademarked. Our phrases are trademarked, so we're excited to be able to kind of generate some revenue through this as well. The trail itself is so incredibly popular. We are getting calls nonstop about this trail, and the cool part is it's people from all over the country. So we had talked to people recently that live in Georgia, a gentleman from Kentucky. I mean, it is amazing. So overlanding, by the way, is traversing in a four-wheel drive with like a camper kind of on the back. They have specific overland campers. So it's pretty cool. It's a lot of self-contained information, or self-contained camping, if you will. So it's easier than like hauling a trailer. If you navigate to the Rimrocker Facebook page, or I believe, is it on the website maybe? The gentleman who created a video recently, he did a 2-part series. Facebook, okay. It's pretty cool. It's amazing to see that these people want to create and generate content off of the Rimrocker Trail. It's nice to kind of be able to share our slice of paradise with them for a very small amount of time, and then to have them go back to their homes, wherever they may be, further away. Yes, we love for them to come and spend their tax dollars here. It really does help out in the West End. There are now 2 different ATV Jeep rental places. So there's an ATV rental in Nucla, and then recently opened this year there is another rental in Natarita. So it's neat that the community can support too in those towns that are pretty close together. We also have a gentleman who has been leading tours on the Rimrocker, and I think he's charging around like $500 a trip, and he is selling out left and right. So I know, that was a surprise to me, but it's really exciting to see that growth on the trail, and it's nice to hear too that it's not Moab, that people can ride the trail and then they'll write us back and they'll send us their pictures and say, I only saw one person on the trail, it was amazing. So, we still do have that expanse and that vast area that people can still kind of get lost in our county. It's kind of nice. Okay, so I will turn it over to Emily Sanchez, our Fairgrounds and Event Center Director, and if we have time at the end, I want to watch the vaccine video. Okay. There you go.
So I will definitely pack a lot into our highlight. First off, I'm Emily Sanchez. I'm your Fairgrounds and Event Center Director. I want to take the chance to introduce my team. Over here I have Sarah Fisherine. She is our Event Center Event Manager. She is basically responsible for the booking and logistics of all the events that are happening right now at the Event Center. On the flip side, hiding in the back, we have Stony Field. He is our Fairgrounds Event Manager. He handles all the events at Friendship Hall, the outdoor arena, and then is our go-to person for the fair. So today, I thought I would, give you a quick check-in on the Event Center, where we are, where we're headed, our upcoming events, and then spend some time on the fair and rodeo. So since the very first day we opened, we have been working towards these 2 long-term goals: to create an economically sustainable facility, as well as to create positive economic impact. So every day, this is what my team is working towards. The last time I was in front of you guys was actually January of 2020. I stood right here and I told you we rocked 2019, that we had met all our short-term objectives, that our 2020 schedule was full and it was going to be an epic year. It was not my fault. I did not jinx us. It was an epic year, but definitely not the way we thought. For the Fairgrounds team, it totally punched us in the gut. From March through August, we were basically canceling, rescheduling, canceling, rescheduling, canceling, rescheduling. By August, we were over 2020. We were done. Skip ahead. We want something else. What we knew about 2021 is that if 2020 continued into it, we had to figure out how to host events under restrictions and safely. Up to that moment, our business model had always been diversity. We were focusing on the multifunctional aspect of the facility, trying to attract as many different events as possible and as many different groups of people as possible. When we sat down to fill the 2021 schedule with the thought that we might be under restrictions, The events that kept coming up that we could potentially host were equine events. Equine events are interesting. You know, they don't attract a lot of general public. It is very hard to sit and watch 600 goes of team roping or 400 barrel racers. It takes a special person. So those equine events are really the competitors and their family. Just by the nature of the event, they're socially distanced, right? They're on horseback. They're also a step ahead in containing the spread of a virus. Horses are very susceptible to the spread of viruses, and especially those horses that are going from venue to venue. So equine people are actually practicing biosecurity before the rest of us were. You know, we at the fairgrounds were disinfecting all the stalls and high-touch surfaces way before COVID came along. So, I mean, we were ready. I mean, they were the great group to work with. Even more importantly, the event venue lends itself very well to equine events. You combine that with the knowledge of our staff, and we do very well with them. So we kind of gave Sarah the go-ahead, like, okay, get as many equine events as you can. And she did. She rocked it. So she filled the 2021 schedule with equine events, and then we came back and we came back and we filled in with the other diverse events. So I know that somebody out there in the audience is thinking, Miss Sanchez, in your very first breath, you said you were working towards creating positive economic impact. In your second breath, you said you filled the schedule with events that do not attract public attendance. That doesn't work. I get it. So it comes down to, what is the value of a horse? The American Quarter Horse Association has done a lot of research on this. They've come up with a calculator. Per their calculations, they estimate that with every horse that checks into a facility, 3 people come with it. Sarah and I sat down and we really looked at our events. You know, do 3 people come in with each horse? We have the Mountain States Ranch Rodeo where, you know, a whole family and their extended family are coming in with a horse. Then on the flip side, we have the team ropers where it's 2 horses per cowboy. So we came back with about 2.5 people per horse. That 0.5 of a person is pretty easy to deal with. So then the American Quarter Horse Association says that on average, people spend $150 per event day in the community. So to date, we have checked in, so this is the first 6 months of 2021, I should say. We've checked in 813 horses into the event center. At 2.5 people per horse is a little over 2,000 attendees. They all stayed for different days, but at $150 per attendee, we contributed, or we estimate we contributed $936,000 to the local community in the first 6 months. As you look to the rest of the year, we anticipate we'll about double that, and that is just on our equine events. So what have we been doing? January and February stunk. We didn't do anything. By March, my team was dying to host something. They had to do something. So we decided to put on a bull riding under some pretty stiff restrictions. But it worked out great. We live streamed it. We had 400 people in attendance. We were able to recognize our sponsors, and people are dying to come back to that. In April, things let loose a little bit more. We hosted the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, followed by the Western Colorado Select Equine Sale. This was an awesome event. We sold 60 horses for over $250,000. The top selling horse went for $30,000. That's my car. They paid it on something that could die. But I'm sure they insured it, so it's okay. We followed it up with the Rocky Mountain Oyster and Red Dirt Music Festival. It wasn't really a festival this year, it was more of an event. We're aiming for a festival next year. We had 400 people. The thing that we learned at the Rocky Mountain Oyster Festival is that people are going to eat more nuts than we thought. And we served 220 pounds of Rocky Mountain oysters. So we will be prepared for more ball consumption next year. We wrapped up April with the reining horse show was 150 horses over 4 days. In May, we really got back to normal with the home show. In June, we really kicked off our equine. We hosted the national team roping. The first weekend of June, we roped 1,000 steers over 2 days. And then just recently, we hosted the Run at the Rose Barrel Race and the Colorado Classic Barrel Race. So basically, from June 15th through June 27th, we had horses housed at the event center and people there. The first weekend of the race, they ran 3 days and we had about 250 horses. The second weekend, again, we ran 3 days with over 400 horses. That second weekend, they gave away $308,000 in payout. So it was a very well-attended event for an equine event. Coming up, next week, we'll kick off with another reining horse show. We'll fill in with the barrel race, and then we'll host the fair. In August, we have the Mule Deer Foundation banquet that will actually be in the arena. We'll come back with the national team roping. Because of their success in June, they've expanded that to a 3-day show. We'll have a Hispanic bull riding and concert, followed up with another horse show. In September, we will roll the floor out and we'll host the Wine and Food Festival. We follow that up with the Colorado Gypsy Horse Show. If you don't really like horses, but you want a unique experience, this is where it's at. These are the horses with the long, flowing manes and tails and the really fluffy feet. And this is an experience. So they have classes that are carriage driving classes. They have carriage driving classes in authentic dress, so they're all dressed up. They have draft horse barrel races. They have this freestyle event where they just let the horse run wild in the arena, and they judge it based on its movement. And then they have costume classes. So it is truly entertaining. We wrap up September with the Mountain States Ranch Rodeo. In October, we welcome back the Colorado Pro Rodeo Finals. So the top 12 cowboys in each event qualify to compete here over 3 days. We hosted it the first time in 2019 and it was a huge success. The cowboys love coming to Montrose and we like having them. So we get to welcome them back. And then in October, we'll host another home show and 2 more reining shows. But our most important event coming up is most definitely the Fair and Rodeo. So it's scheduled July 26th through the 31st. Very much like the fairground staff, the Fair Board had a rotten 2020. They had to figure out how to do a fair under some of the most strict restrictions. A lot of the 4-H and FFA members had already invested in their animals, and there's a shelf life on those animals. You can't keep them for next year. They had to go to market. So the Fair Board made it a point for those kids to be able to show and sell their animals at last year's fair. When you totally wipe an event clean, it gives you the opportunity to decide how to move forward in the future. And the Fair Board took the opportunity to really look at the fair and decide what they want to look like in the future. How do they distinguish it from Funk Festival or from Youth Appreciation? And it came back to agriculture. So they set some long-term goals for themselves. The goals of the Fair Board right now are to preserve agriculture in our community and create a sustainable event. They have short-term goals around increasing 4-H and FFA participation, increasing opportunities for agriculture education, and then increasing community participation, getting you guys to come out and put your items in our open show or buy an animal at our auction. So with these in mind, here are the major changes for this year's fair. Probably the one that I'm most excited about is the Root to Tip Dinner. This will happen on Friday, July 30th at the Montrose County Event Center. It is a celebration of our local producers. It'll be a 3-course meal prepared by Serving Grace Community Catering. And it's from all locally sourced ingredients. From there, we'll have beverage tastings that have been paired to complement the menu and really showcase our local craft manufacturers. We'll have live music, and then we'll have a keynote speaker by the Whiskey Sisters. They are corn producers out of Burlington, Colorado, who have been successful in what I call niche farming. They produce corn specifically for whiskey distilling. Yeah, who doesn't want that corn? The tickets for this are $65. They're available on our website, which is MontroseCountyFairandRodeo.com, or at the event center. A big change is we're moving the open show. So this is your crafts, your quilts, your pies, your flowers, your vegetables, the art show and woodworking from Friendship Hall to the event center. It allows the open show to grow, but also then at Friendship Hall, we'll be able to expand the 4-H and FFA projects along with their booths. So we highly recommend you come down. This year I'll be entering my zucchini, because that's all I can grow. But you bring your cookies, bring your quilts. It's only $1 to enter, and you do win bragging rights and a blue ribbon if you do. The Mustang Show. So the Mustang Show started in 2017 with 10 kids and 10 yearling Mustangs. This year it's grown to 18 burros and 32 Mustangs. So it has really exploded under Diane Shipley, who runs the program. This year it'll be in the event center. The Mustang main performance kicks off with Mustang Maddie. She is an amazing horsewoman. She does with Mustangs what most of us cannot do with her domestic horse. We'll also have performances from a couple local Mustang owners who will be competing in the Extreme Mustang Makeover in Oklahoma later in September. And then most importantly, we'll have 10 or, no, more than 10, but the kids, the youth competitors, will compete in the freestyle event. So they have to choreograph a routine to music, and they and their horse dress up and perform. The thing that really makes this like amazing is that 90 days ago, these horses came in off of a semi, completely untouched. They had never had a halter on them. They did not have public interaction. And when you see these kids taking them through the courses, you're going to be amazed. Better yet, it's a free event. We're also having an education series. This kind of goes back to our goals. These are all geared towards what you can do at home. Our first one is with Justin Musser with the Ecological Services at the county. I doubt there's anybody in here that doesn't have a weed problem, especially between the sun and the rain, right? He has great tips on how to control your weeds at home. We'll follow it up with Jerry Allen from Chavano Conservation District for soil health. They have a better understanding than anybody about the soils in our valley, and they can help you with your gardens and your flower beds. We'll have Ann Duncan with Colorado State Extension will give us a lesson on how to make freezer jams. If COVID taught us anything, is that maybe the supply chain is broken, and maybe we do need to figure out how to preserve our own foods. And so this is a great first step. And then we'll finish it out on Friday with a meet and greet with Katie Alexander. She is the best kept secret in Montrose County. She has agricultural resources that each one of us need. And if you come out and meet her, she can help you with anything from your gardens to your beekeeping to get you in touch with scientists and researchers. The junior livestock auction. Last year we moved it to the event center in order to socially distance, and it was great. So we're expanding it there this year. The junior livestock auction is something that anybody can participate in. If you want to come down and you actually want to participate in the auction and really get into bidding, I highly recommend it. You can buy an animal. You can choose then to keep the animal, have it processed, have a barbecue, or you can sell it back to the fair board and then just pay the difference. If you don't really want to buy an animal, but little Jimmy is selling a sheep, you can go down and put $50 towards his final payout. If you don't really know a little Jimmy, but you want to support the cause, you can join the Stockman's Buyers Club. This Buyers Club is a membership club where the fees are used to ensure every animal going through that auction sells for a minimum price. So it's about investing in our youth to preserve agriculture in our community. And then we wrap it up with the excitement. We'll kick off Friday night with the bull riding. It's kind of an extension of the bull riding we had in the event center in March, but it'll be in the outdoor arena. We'll have 20 cowboys that compete over 2 bulls, and the top scorer will go home with all the money. And then we'll host the Colorado Pro Rodeo on July 31st. Thanks very much to the efforts of Stony Field. We are one of the best rodeos during the summer in Colorado. We're definitely the most well-attended rodeo. So if you want to experience the true fair rodeo, then this is the one to come to. And I think I covered a lot, really fast. I think I gave Katie plenty of time for a video. That's all I have, so please let us know if you have any questions.
before we start questions, actually, I just wanted to introduce a few county employees in the room. You guys probably know some of them. Ken Norris, our Director of Facilities and Construction Management. You have the longest title ever now. Thank you so much. Leslie Kwan is our Human Resources Director. Julie Andrus is our Assistant County Attorney, and Don Berry is our Information Technology Director. So as you guys can see, we've been pretty busy, and just trust me, there's a lot of other stuff that we didn't put on the slides. We're working on events for the fall, working on the Water Summit. We have a lot of big plans, and we look forward to continuing to share them with you in the future. So with that, Chair Hansen, do you want to be the Vanna White with the mic? Questions. I am happy to take any questions you may have.
Oh, Zilla Mae.
I just wanted, excuse me, I wanted to know, where do we find a listing of your schedule? On the website or someplace else?
For the fair schedule? Yep,
Everything.
Everything. Okay, so a couple places. You can go to Montrose County Fair and Rodeo. Oh, Emily brought schedule.
I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, but I have fair schedules, information on the route to tip, or buyers information if you guys are at all interested.
Perfect. So that's all your fair information. We have a pile full of websites for the county, and that's courtesy of Erica Story. So we actually have a dedicated tribute to aviation website. If you are looking, you can kind of see all the aircraft that are coming. And of course, the county website. One of those other soon-to-release projects, we're working on a chatbot for the site. So I think it should be helpful for you all to access information 24/7. So on the county site, you can find our meetings. So by law, we are required to post meetings that we have. You can see our agendas. You can always call us. We are all very accessible. I think that's kind of one of the pandemic afterthoughts. My phone has remained forwarded to my cell phone, and I really don't think I'm going to change that. I'm kind of enjoying just everything coming to my cell phone. So we're accessible. Does that help? Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions? Oh, big surprise, Jim. I'm shocked.
Thanks, Katie. That's a great presentation. I happened to take a drive out on Kiowa and Chavano Valley a few days after that flood. And the picture you show there doesn't show really the extent of damage that there was. I mean, we had, the county was out there just magnificently opening those roads, making sure that people had access to their property. The UVWUA worked closely with the county to maintain those ditches. I mean, we had, just looking at it, we had water coming over there that overtopped those ditches by like 3 feet. So, but the question I have for you, in an event like that, does the county emergency manager take control of that, and how did that work?
Not necessarily control. However, the emergency management is a function and a feature, but from a county perspective, first and foremost, road safety, and obviously life safety, of course. But that is our responsibility, is the infrastructure. So they were working as quickly as they can once life safety was assured, and of course that's not us, that's Montrose Fire. But making sure that humans are safe, everybody is safe. We did have some loss of animals as well. So our emergency manager goes out, integrates, and communicates with all the families. He's really, and we talked about kind of trying to help align resources. So trying to make sure that people are okay, that they have the things they need, or if there's ways that we may not be able to guarantee those resources, but perhaps that we can assist in those efforts and liaise.
Yeah, and Scott Hawkins is our emergency manager, and he was out. He met with all the families as soon as it started happening. So we are appreciative of his outreach. He also brought in the Department of Homeland Security emergency manager, representative from Durango. Ours was on vacation in Hawaii, so yeah. But anyway, he came up and so talked to all the families. There could potentially be some money for them. I talked to the NRCS to see if they have some money, and then I have a call with with Senator Quorum today with the governor's office to see if there's some. He seems to have money in pockets, so we thought maybe we could find one of those pockets.
Are there any highway bypass plans in the county?
Did you really want to ask that question?
Yes.
There are no immediate plans for any bypass for the county, but we did just have a conversation about looking at the master plan. We do have we have Dennis from the Planning Commission. Have you guys been talking about any bypass? Have you? Not recently? Yeah. Yeah, if you remember that old master plan from 2005, that caused a lot of kerfuffle, if you remember that. But it is time to do another master plan. With all this growth, we really need to look at the big picture of the county and what's happening. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Hansen,
Yes.
do we have any openings on any of the county boards or commissions?
Right, I was just hustling Jim Isler over here. We do have, we're always looking for people that want to be involved in these boards, and in the past we haven't really, it doesn't seem like paid that much attention. But we do have an opening on the hospital trustee board, really important position for someone who's really strong in a financial position where we actually have financial oversight. And keep an eye on the hospital. We also do monthly inspections of the hospital, the building, because the county owns the building. There's a board opening there. We have a board opening on the Planning Commission, and we have an opening on the historic. I have Zilla May over here. Zilla May is the chair of the Historic Landmark Advisory Board, which identifies local treasures in our community that we want to highlight, and so there's an opening on that board as well. They're on the website. All the boards are listed there. If you have any interest, we have some airport advisory board members here. So we have some active participation, and most of all our boards are filled. We also have oversight over the library district. They choose who they want. They run past us. We interview them, and then they appoint for the library district. So yes, Stoney.
So we also have 3 alternate positions for our fair board, and we have a couple of 3 of them that are actually going to be terming out in September. So if any of you guys are interested in the fair board or any of their committees, we always have opportunities there, and that's at the Montrose County Fair and Rodeo.com as well. Great,
thanks, Tony. And the fair board is an underutilized feature of not the fair board, but the whole fair is underutilized. Remember when you were a kid, you went to the county fair? I mean, do you remember that, right? And then we don't think about it anymore. And I really love this new approach to sort of reinvigorating the fair, trying to reach out to people that maybe are new and never have been to a fair or a rodeo. So please, buy your tickets to the Root to Tip dinner. I'm going to go buy mine, so make sure I get some of that. But anyway, any other questions? Yes, Kathy. Is it fun not to be moderating?
Yes. With that slide up, Katie,
Yes.
Do you know the percentage of county citizens who have been vaccinated? That's the first part.
Okay.
And the second part, having started Forum back up again, in the back of our minds is always, are they going to shut us down again?
Sure.
What are things looking like?
There is actually, I'm going off of 2-week-old knowledge, and I don't know that it is adjusted as much. If you go to Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment's website, they actually have county-by-county vaccination data. Last numbers that I recall seeing were around 40% for completed doses, so 2 doses, or if you had just a single dose of Johnson & Johnson, and then those with just a single dose, so potentially you had your first dose, but for some reason haven't either had a second yet, potentially had a reaction, whatnot, that was closer to 45%. As far as where we stand now, the Delta variant is definitely within Montrose County. Our neighbors in Mesa County are experiencing quite a surge in the Delta variant. It exists here as well. I saw some numbers recently that were in the 450 range of total cases. The state has a really good website for information, whether it's specific variants by county as well as just total cases by county. But I'm going to borrow the words of Commissioner Caddy, who unfortunately you probably noticed we're missing a few commissioners and our interim manager. They are all out this week and couldn't attend. But earlier, midway through the pandemic, Commissioner Caddy said, once you let the horses out of the barn, they are not going back in. 15 months into this, I'd like to think that we all know the things that we need to do to be safe. I really think that, there are, the state calls it snapback provisions for, reinstating some restrictions. I frankly think that they would have a very hard time, especially within Montrose County, doing some of that. So it all remains to be seen. However, I think it's important to note, and Commissioner Hansen had said, we are fully prepared. We've done this. We've kind of conquered and climbed that mountain. We know exactly what gear it takes to do that, and I feel very confident in our ability to respond.
Any other questions? I can't believe it. No real tough ones?
We have like 4 minutes. We're going to watch this.
Okay, 4
It's going to be
minutes.
great. Yeah, I'm excited. And the reason I'm actually bringing this up is like,
Visiting a Subaru retailer
Oh,
for
yeah.
service is the
Come on.
best way to keep your Subaru the way you love. They'll care for your vehicle with that.
but I think it's important because we laughingly refer to ourselves as like the swimming duck. We were the paddling the feet underwater. We had staff members coming in barely able to walk because of non-COVID-like medical incidents. They are there truly public servants for the good of the community, trying to fulfill their role and do their job. We had, I don't have the total in front of me, but well over 100 different volunteers. And we were, begging, borrowing, stealing, trying to come up with whatever we could to make this work. It was not a perfect system by any means. Those of us who worked it probably are going to cringe when I say the words ready op, but the system that we used, I'm so sorry guys, maybe PTSD, too soon, too soon. But it was the system we used to amass people and to create those appointments, and it was not perfect. Like, none of this was designed for a pandemic. But I think that kind of showcases the team's talent is we went with the tools we had and we made it work somehow. So let's watch this really quick so you guys can kind of see a little bit about this. Yergensen, and I am the co-director for the Montrose County Public Health Vaccination Clinic. I'm incredibly proud to report to you that we have administered nearly 20,000 vaccines from our location here since January. We would be remiss if we didn't thank our team and the community that has helped support us from day one. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Montrose Fire Protection District. From Chief Rowan all the way to his entire team, they have done an amazing job. They have been able to handle vaccines, straws, anything. They are great partners and we are so incredibly proud to work with them. Montrose Memorial Hospital, specifically the pharmacy, and the pharmacy director, George Papnell, have been also incredibly helpful. Their commitment and their dedication to our cause has been absolutely outstanding.
Really proud of Montrose County. I'm proud of this team and how we have put together this vaccine clinic and how they are working hard to make sure that we protect the citizens of our community. I mean, that's the most important thing here, is that we come out of this, get back to life as normal. And I just want to say that and let people know that the people behind the scenes running this vaccine clinic have really put a lot of extra hours in making sure that you're protected. It's really been heartening to see how a community can come together to protect the community. So for that, I am very thankful.
Thank you, Montrose Vaccine Team, for all that you have done over these past many months. Because of your efforts, Montrose is in a wonderful place right now in the battle against COVID-19. But I know it took a lot of sacrifice on your part. I know you guys put in extra hours on the weekends, time away from family, and your regular duties at work didn't go away. Thank you for everything that you've done, Montrose Vaccine Team. You are appreciated.
That was my favorite.